It's a shame that in 2025, artists are still trying to make producers feel like shit. Like they're not equal contributors to a song. Like producers are just a dime a dozen and beats don't mean anything. And they're not doing that because it's true. This is what I've learned. I've been through this enough times where an artist will try to break me down and abuse me into feeling like I'm nothing so that I eventually just become happy to be there, grateful for any opportunity to work and give my energy and give my expertise and invest my time into their project without getting anything in return. The way to get around that is, one, by seeing your own value, whatever form that takes. Maybe it means you need to go to therapy, you need to meditate, exercise, all the above, but also to learn the business and learn exactly what a producer's intellectual property rights are, what is standard for a producer to receive in a situation where they're producing beats and songs for a recording artist, because this shouldn't work on us anymore. But something really sad happened recently where a rapper, singer, songwriter, artist that I really enjoy, I love her music, she went on this rant against Boy 50 on Twitter, and it's some of the dumbest shit I've generally she goes pretty deeply into whatever topic she's creating controversy around. Her name's Azealia Banks. She has a few hit songs and I think her music's great. I think her music's super dope, but I was incredibly disappointed to learn that she doesn't respect producers. She's using this abusive language to try to cut us down so that we feel worthless. Brought it up on the podcast, we discussed it, but I want to hear from you in the comments. Is this something that you've experienced, and how have you as a producer avoided being affected deeply and emotionally by this type of language, this type of strategy that recording artists use? Because a lot of producers are in that space where they're being abused by recording artists and they feel worthless, and they, rather than learn the music business and learn what's really going on, they just take on that abuse and internalize it and think to themselves, yeah, I don't deserve anything. Anyone can make beats. I'm worthless. I'm just going to take whatever they offer, if anything. Hopefully we can share stories to combat this. Appreciate you checking out the new podcast channel. The link to the full episode is below. Let me know what you think in the comments. Azealia Banks, right? Whose music I love. I've always liked her music. And I feel like if I can say it this way, maybe people will understand. I feel like Azealia Banks argues a lot. She's contentious, but she's usually on the right side in the wrong way, but for the right reasons, if that makes any sense. So, she'll go at J.K. Rowling for being a bigot, and then she'll turn around and say something equally bigoted, but against someone that maybe deserves it, but just not in that way. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. But anyway, this is one of those situations where I think, damn, like I can't even find anything redeeming in what you say. But it also shows this problem that I talk about a lot in the producer community. A lot of producers talk about when it comes to entitlement and relegating producers to a position of not being valued songwriters, which is strange. So her tweet said, shout out to Boy 50. He's always posting stuff. So I guess Azealia Banks is always on Twitter, and she catches a lot of conversations. She said, why should we pay for beats if producers expect royalties, pub, and master share? You all want us to pay the license for a certain number of years, after which you'll do whatever you want with it. So it sounds like she's talking about beat leasing now. So now she's getting more in the beat leasing game. No, it's not like producers have to spend money on marketing, touring, mixing, master, promo. Of course, yeah, producers, we don't spend money on marketing, promo, or any kind of mix. Sure. Producers don't have to perform, and many of you are very limited in skill. If you want to be paid for a beat, you should sell it entirely and expect no publishing, no royalty, and no master share. Artists put a lot of effort into making beats come to life, and many of you should be grateful. Oh, so she's really going in on producers and this whole us versus them. You're not as... I don't know. The more I read it, the nastier it becomes, because she's really tearing producers down. She's really trying to make us feel entirely insignificant. And this is often what happens, unfortunately, what artists will do. And I don't even know if Azealia Banks believes what she's typing. This could just be some rage-fueled moment of confusion. Who knows, right? I don't know her. And I don't know her to say nasty shit like this about the music business. She's usually on the side of creatives, usually. But this was the core. This was an elevated dumpster fire of shaming producers for asking for what everybody else in the music business gets. And then this additional layer, which happens all the time, where like I'll have a conversation with someone and like, well, why do you want money for the beat? Oh, you want a writer's share for the beat? You're not a writer. Oh, you want royalties? Why? You're not even that good. It's like when usually a man sees a woman and is like, let me get your number. And she's like, no, thank you. Bitch, you ugly anyway. Fuck you. I'd never fuck you. Nobody in this bitch. You're going to die alone. It's that type of thing. It's that type of energy. And I'm like, that's nasty no matter the context.
Yeah, I don't know if I have too much of a response to this. You know, I do think that I just think it's a ridiculous post. I mean, Azalea's always doing things, saying things that get her in the headlines or get attention. It's usually negative. I just, again, don't like to create the divide between artists and producers. Like, we should be talking about things that make it easier to work together as opposed to put everybody on guard. To me, this just increases the skepticism and the negativity around a relationship that you guys need. Like, you know, artists obviously need beats to make music. Producers need artists to put lyrics on the beats. Like, we have to work together, and just saying stuff like this to me just increases the divide and pits one group against the other. And I just don't like it.
Oh, it does.
I think it's like artists, I don't want to be an artist hater, but I'm high key an artist hater for the most part. Like, I love artists, but I never want to work with them because it's like all artists ever see is themselves. So they're like, well, I got to pay the manager when I have to do this, 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 and this. And all y'all had to do is go do this. Well, I got to pay the producer. I actually think more people need to be broken off in the song process. Like, I think it's egregious that songwriters can come in, write the song, and really like create a flow for it, maybe even vocally produce a singer or a rapper, and all they're getting is pub. Like, I think writers should be getting parts of the master, personally, because it's like, if you're not getting a fee coming in and you have to wait till this joint recoups. People talk about major label artists and major label writers. Like, again, I'm doing a writing camp starting tomorrow. I have been talking to the guys about, like, how do we get our writers paid? Obviously, with this camp, I can't change the dynamics of the music industry, but that's why I'm trying to tell this story, because I'm like, you have these super talented people. So, like, for somebody to come in and say the beat maker can't get paid up front for all the work, effort, and energy that they had to come in with, right? Like, you had to have the technology and the know-how and the skill set to create this beat, to manipulate these sounds, to create something that you really enjoyed. And then a lot of times go back and change a few things, disrupt the flow of things so that you sound better on the track. And then you get to sit on it as long as you want. Maybe never, ever release it. That's another reason that producers, I think it's like, yeah, get your money up front, because this shit may never come out, or it could be 3, 4, 5 years, or it may take 8 years to fucking recoup, if it does recoup. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't think it's like, this shit is not just for vibes. People are trying to pay their bills and also enjoy the craft that they're putting their time, effort, and energy into. So I don't know, you know, shout out to Sis, but she's always had takes to me that are just like, I don't know where her mind is, but I respect it because she's a different type of thinker. She's just not somebody that I'm ever really interested in reading what they have to say, because it's like, I could be at the top of a tweet like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I get down to the bottom and I'm like, my God, I don't want to be affiliated with this at all. So I don't know. I don't like this take at all, but like, go off, I guess. I've never had anybody give a real reason that producers shouldn't get paid, aside from the fact that they're like, you don't have to pay for marketing, mixing, mastering, and you don't have to go on tour. But every time somebody says that, my next thought is you benefit from all of those things. And it
And I've
actually
done all those
generates
things
way
as a
more
producer.
money for you. It generates attention for you. You enjoy performing for the most part. A lot of artists really enjoy performing. They almost try to make it seem like the things that they want to do are now a burden, and the producer should see how much work that burden is. And it's like, that's such a weak cop out of an excuse.
Yeah, it's not a, I mean, it is kind of a cop out, but on the flip side, it is true, but that's what you sign up for. Like, the onus is on the artist or the label to really get those songs out there. I think one thing producers should think about though is their pricing strategy, because what you guys have is different, right? Like if I have a liquor store and I have milk in the store, like everybody that comes through that door sees the price, gets that price. If they want to buy the milk, they get it and walk out the door. Like producers, you guys, I mean, if you have a beat store, it's kind of the same thing. But like a lot of times you guys are negotiating with the same beat, different prices depending on who's talking to you. So I think you just have to just be really, figure out what your pricing strategy is, how you approach artists, how you handle that conversation with artists at different levels. And just hopefully it's a smooth process, because it is different. Payne, I'm sure. I mean, I worked with you before where I haven't had to pay for the beats. I just given you, a percentage of the masters. You get 50% of the publishing. I'm sure part of that's also just the relationship we have. But again, it's just different with every artist, depending on where they're at in their career. And that's, it's just a lot different than selling other goods, if you had a store.
Well, and Azealia Banks is damn near 4 million monthly listeners on Spotify. I can't imagine there aren't producers that she could quote unquote lock in with. But, to pick up on what Aaron's saying, it is ridiculous, because when you go to a 9 to 5, right, and you're the owner of the business is saying, man, I got to do payroll. I got to pay for janitorial services, waste management. I got to do this. I got to handle people's 401ks. I got to do this. And now you want a salary? Come on, man. And now you want health insurance? Come on. And I'm like, you directly benefit from all that. You keeping me healthy benefits you, because I get to show up to work every day and perform at a high level that makes you a lot more money than I will ever see from my involvement in this company. So it's bullshit when someone like Azealia Banks says, oh, well, I got to go on tour. You don't have to tour, but you get paid to go on tour. You connect with more people. You get home from tour and you have more money in your pockets than the producers do, because the producers don't get money off your tour. And you have more of a activated fan base, more fans if you're doing touring, right? And life is better for you because you did that. So why are you turning a benefit into a burden, as Aaron was saying? So legally, I'm just going to end on this. Legally, a producer is always a songwriter. Don't let these people tell you different. These conversations didn't happen 100 years ago when a lyrics author, aka the songwriter performer, was claiming the person who composed the big band parts to their big song isn't a composer and isn't a co-writer and isn't, this didn't happen then. So why is this happening now? And it's funny because the same people who, and I think Azealia Banks is a vanguard of culture, of hip hop culture, of music, of black culture, etc. But she's using these anti-cultural statements and sentiments to push forward her assertion. Because again, this didn't happen before kids with FL Studio started making music in an industry that should have never, that never wanted them in to begin with. And so now you're using similar language to degrade them. Kind of weird. But having said that, it's also hypocritical because Azealia Banks has been involved in this ongoing legal battle to get royalties from her former label. Just as a quick summary, in 2022, Banks sued Quantinet, I can't say his name, Quantinets, and then was countersued. She claimed that her former label only paid her a minuscule sum of $15,000, while the label reported album revenues of over $1 million, about $1.5 million. The owner is claiming that these are blatantly false royalty claims. And so also in 2020, and I remember this happening, Banks urged fans to stop streaming her album Broke with Expensive Taste to promote or to protest the alleged royalty issue. So it's cool when she does it, it's a problem when they do it. Okay. Consider the source and consider the full context, people.